the difference. That is the dividing right there. Okay, everybody right with that?
Yeah.
Verse 13, Brett, yeah.
I had a question about the righteousness.
Okay, good.
So where does it say that it's a gift? Because the only thing I can find is that it says none is righteous, no not one.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I believe in Romans 5.
Yeah, I read in Romans 3:10 that says none is righteous, no not one. I think that's
Let's see if I can find it very quick.
Yeah, it says as it is written. It's talking about all of sin. It says as it is written, there is none righteous, no not one. There is none who goes into, there is none who understands.
I got Romans 5, I think 15, and the goal of God's gracious gift is very different from the goals of one man's sin. But God's free gift is being made right with God.
Yeah. Verse 17 spells it out. Right under your 16. For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in life by one, Jesus Christ. So you're right on it, guys. And there's probably other references to it, but that one is pretty clear. Okay, back in Hebrews 5. Everybody okay with that?
Oh. Wouldn't that kind of contradict itself, though? I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
The verse itself?
Wouldn't that make the Bible contradict itself, though? Because it says there's none not righteous, no not one. But then right there it says that we...
Well, you have to read it in context. It's talking when it says there's none righteous. That means all have fallen short of the glory of God. That means in man's ability, he's not right.
Okay, he's just saying there is no one righteous.
Right. Not in our own ability. But we can receive the gift of his righteousness. It all goes back to that covenant. We get in him, we become righteous because he's righteous. Okay, you understand that? Great questions, guys. You know what? I'd rather you stop me a million times on one verse than for me to go preaching a bunch of stuff and you walk out there going, whoa, what did you say? So, it's great. I love it. All right, back to verse 13 in Hebrews 5. Everyone that uses milk is unskillful in what? The word of righteousness. For why? He's still a baby. Babies can't talk. Babies can't walk. They got to have their diaper changed. They can't even feed themselves. Okay, well, we're not going to be babies. And we start off babies. Nothing wrong with start off babies. You know what? Babies are cute. I love babies. But if you're 30 years old and you're still a baby, you ain't so cute anymore. Right? All right, verse 14. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age. Means mature. Like me, I'm old and mature. My wife says I'm mature. She means old. Because I got gray hair up here. Alright, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Now here we get down to the real brass tacks of this thing. Strong meat belongs to those who are grown up. Okay? Well, what happens growing up, along life's path growing up? Well, a lot of things happen. There's a lot of water under the bridge by the time you get to be my age. But I can tell you that when I was a young man, I had many mistakes. When I became a toddler, we all failed, scuffed our knee, bumped our head. When we learned to ride a bicycle, we skinned ourselves up. When we learned to drive a car, we had a few wrecks. I mean, you know, along life's way, there's a lot of water under that bridge. So, you have to picture that. Remember we talked about whenever we're going to chew on it, you have to kind of play it out in your mind. Well, picture that. Strong meat belongs to those who have grown up. Well, think about what happens to grow up. There's a lot of stuff happening along the way. We're talking spiritually here, too. Even those, now listen, even those who by reason of use, in other words, exercise. Reason of use is exercise. They're doers of the word. They do it. Do it over and over until they perfect it. reason of use, have their senses exercised, strengthened, their senses sorted out, divided in proper perspective, in order to discern or to distinguish both good and evil. Alright, so let me try to explain that as best I can. Strong meat belongs to people, spiritually mature people. Because the reason they're spiritually mature is because they have learned to exercise their spiritual faculties, the word of righteousness, by doing the Word, by exercising themselves in the Word, strengthening themselves in the Word, to the point where they now have their senses in perspective so they can determine what's good and what's bad according to God's right way, instead of their emotions telling them what's right. I'll give you an example. I've seen it happen so many times. Is that young people come into the church and they get saved, and then their emotions get out of hand because some other guy or girl comes into the church and they just love them. And they forget all about God, and their emotions just totally take over. Why? They were on milk. They're not yet exercised to discern God's right and God's wrong. And so their emotions came in. They thought they were in love. They run to the altar and they get married because they're probably having sex already, and they want to just try to be right with God somewhat. And so they run, get married, and boom, it ends up being a real mess. Why? Because they were walking by emotions. Their senses weren't yet exercised to determine right and wrong. They were letting their emotions, their feelings, their sensual realm guide them, but yet they were confessing Christianity. Hey, listen, we've all done stupid things like that. And if you haven't done it, you will do it. Because we're growing up. But that's part of this being full age. So don't feel bad about it that you made a few mistakes, or that you do make a mistake if it happens and when it happens, because God's not out there to whack you on the head. He's out there to help you grow up. Unless the counter to that is if you're habitually stiff-arming God and saying, I don't care what you say or do, I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Now that's a different story. I'm talking to guys here that want to do right, okay? It's a big difference. The reason I bring that up is because we talked about Ananias and Sapphira earlier. There is that side of God, but we don't talk about it that much because I'm talking to people that I believe wants to do right. Okay? So we don't really have to go there. People ask me, say, well, do you believe in once saved, always saved? I said, well, what does it matter once you're saved, I don't look back. What's the difference? I mean, unless you need an excuse to sin. And then, if you need an excuse to sin, you might need to hang on to that. Because, you want to make yourself feel good and you sin. See what I'm saying? But it doesn't matter if you're really living for God. Why? I'm not backsliding. I know I'm going to heaven. You hear what I'm saying? Praise the Lord.